Have you ever felt mentally drained or exhausted before the semester was even halfway done? Or felt like you were simply surviving the semester as opposed to thriving in it? If you answered yes to either of those questions, you may be experiencing burnout. Now, this video is solely focused on burnout in college, presented by the Community College of Philadelphia's Counseling Department. My name is Sydney Jakes, and I will be walking you through some information on burnout as well as strategies that you can implement if you do feel like you are feeling some of these symptoms. So let's get started. What is burnout? You're probably asking yourself this question as you're going through this video. So on this left-hand side, we break down a little bit more of what burnout is. We have a few different definitions here to pull from. First being that burnout is a state of emotional, mental, and often physical exhaustion brought on by prolonged or repeated stress. It is an extended period of stress that feels as though it cannot be ameliorated. It is physical and mental exhaustion, a sense of dread about work, and frequent feelings of cynicism, anger, or irritability. These are all key signs of burnout. So it's good to know and recognize at least what exactly burnout is, right? How it's defined in various evidence-based texts. And also, it gives you the opportunity to start to reflect and question if you are experiencing any bit of that emotional, mental, or physical exhaustion. Pay close attention to that language, that word exhaustion, when thinking about burnout. Now, over on the right-hand side of your screen, you'll see that there's actually a breakdown here of the 5 different stages of burnout. So there is research to back up that students and people just in general, but students don't just experience one type of burnout, right? There is a spectrum. There are levels to this. So the first stage of burnout is called the honeymoon stage. This is where, you may be feeling optimistic, high in productivity, committed to your work. You have this compulsion to want to prove yourself, right? Then stage 2 is called the onset of stress. This is where you may be experiencing an inability to focus, some anxiety, irritability, reduced sleep quality, self-neglect. Stage 3 is called chronic stress. This is where your tiredness is persistent. Maybe some procrastination is starting to creep in and you're not quite as motivated to want to tackle your homework assignments or get your quiz done a few days in advance, right? You may be pushing some things off. You may be experiencing social withdrawal or cynical attitude, a denial of problems. Stage 4 is the burnout stage. This is where you've probably gotten to the point of that exhaustion that we were talking about earlier. It's an obsession with problems. Maybe more of a pessimistic outlook is starting to creep in. You may be experiencing some of that physical exhaustion, self-doubt, social isolation. And that 5th stage is called habitual burnout. This is where you are experiencing chronic stress, chronic mental fatigue, depression, functional freeze, and high irritability. So if you like, this is a very good slide for you to even take a screenshot of, because it's good for you to be informed of the various stages of burnout, as well as using this as a tool to help you reflect on where you feel you are in your stress levels, right? Are you in this honeymoon stage potentially? Are you a little bit further down the line in the stages, or are you already at that stage 5 of habitual burnout? Please note that burnout can be difficult to identify because it doesn't usually appear all at once. When stress becomes more persistent and untreated, it can turn into burnout and affect multiple areas of life. So pay close attention to the stages of burnout and the ways in which, when the semester first starts, you may be starting off in that honeymoon stage or somewhere in that stage 1 or stage 2. But then as more stress continues to build up and continues to be untreated, it could lead to that stage 4 or that stage 5, that habitual burnout. So just keep that in mind. There are various ways that we can navigate the burnout that we're experiencing in a semester. And one great strategy to implement is to first think about what are some of the things that may be sucking our energy, and what are some of the things that we can use to combat that to boost our energy back up. So if you look here on the left-hand side, it gives a few examples of various energy suckers. Some of them include too much screen time, long hours without breaks, trying to multitask constantly, unresolved conflicts, skipping meals or eating unhealthy, overcommitting, amongst many other things. And then if you look over here on this right-hand side, it shows various energy boosters. These are the strategies, these are the examples of things that you can use and should use, especially when you start feeling that extreme exhaustion, when we start getting maybe even into that stage 3, definitely stage 4 and stage 5 of burnout, okay? So some of those examples are taking regular breaks during the day, getting out into nature, body movement, eating nourishing meals and staying hydrated, connecting with loved ones, laughing, playing, and getting creative, tidying up or organizing your space, practicing gratitude or writing in a journal, listening to music or meditating, setting healthy boundaries, getting enough rest and sleep. A key thing to remember is that you want to prioritize your basic needs, such as sleep, regular meals, and hydration. Some of you may be familiar with this diagram, and some of you, this may be the first time that you're ever seeing it. It's called Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and it's a pyramid that basically showcases the needs that every single human being has. And if you notice at the very bottom, we have our physiological needs. These are the most basic needs that every single human being needs to have met before they can move up the pyramid. Think of it almost as a ladder. You're going to be starting at the bottom of the ladder and climb your way up to the top, right? And so those physiological needs that I mentioned in the previous slide need to be prioritized. So food, water, shelter, sleep, sex, all of those things need to be prioritized. And in order to then advance on to safety needs, you need to make sure that you are addressing and prioritizing your physiological needs. In order to get on to that social belonging stage, you need to make sure that your physiological and your safety needs are being met. In order to get onto the self-esteem, we want to make sure that physiological, safety, and social belonging needs are being met. Okay? So just keep this in mind, especially if you are experiencing burnout in college. You want to kind of reflect and think to yourself, are my basic needs being met right now? Do I have reliable and sustainable food, water, and shelter at this moment? Are my safety needs being met right now? Those, especially those two needs, are extremely important to make sure that you are prioritizing them, you're addressing them, you're seeking out resources in case some of those needs may be threatened at the moment. They are extremely important. So just make sure that you are thinking about your needs and how they are being met. And if they are not being met, that you are seeking out support and various resources to help you get those needs met, especially when you are in college and trying to complete your degree. Burnout isn't a weakness. It's a warning sign that something deeper needs to shift. Make sure that you are seeking out your resources. CCP's counseling department is a great place to start. You can also utilize those various strategies that were shared in earlier slides when it comes to those energy boosters. Make sure that you're thinking about your needs as addressed in Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Make sure you are prioritizing your basic needs. These are all strategies that you can use to help you navigate burnout in college. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to reach out to the counseling department via the email or phone number listed above. You can also scan these various QR codes to access our website, our YouTube channel, or our workshops. Take care.